Chat. All right. So Busta Rhymes drops Blockbuster. I didn't like the name, first of all, but let me get past all of that. And I want everybody to be clear. I'm a Busta Rhymes fan. I was a Busta Rhymes fan since I heard him on Scenario. I'm a Tribe fan. So when I heard Woo Ha, I was all in. The Coming, great album. When Disaster Strikes, awesome follow up. ELE, my personal favorite Busta Rhymes album. Actually, one of my favorite albums of that time period is just straight spazzing on the mic. Anarchy, eh. And then I feel like Genesis, which is celebrating the anniversary today as well, that's when Busta kind of start losing his identity, in my opinion, and he has become an adapter, adaptable rapper. And I think this is what this album showed. I
Okay,
don't think
so
that there's a. Go ahead. Go ahead.
when you mean adaptable rapper, I think what you're trying to say nicely is that he's a poor adaptable rapper. Because somebody like LL Cool J adapted about 3 different times that I can recall, and we were all fine with it because he adapted well.
He did
What you're really
adapt well. Yes, I agree.
to is Buster's inability to adapt.
He allows. He feels like a feature on his own album. I was listening to the song with Moray, and I'm like, any of these songs and any of these features on this album, first of all, I was skeptical about how these young features were going to fit with some seasoned production. And we're going to get to the production in a minute, which is a farce, in my opinion. Um, he allowed every feature on there to carry him. It felt like it was those feature songs and not Busta Rhymes song. Like the Moray record sounds like Moray's song. Kodak song sounds like Kodak song featuring Busta Rhymes. You know what I'm saying?
Quavo, Quavo record sounds like Quavo shit.
Yeah, Quavo featuring Busta Rhymes. Like, how do you become the feature on your own record? And it goes back to what I was trying to tell the people months ago when everybody was ranting and raving about Busta Rhymes in a verses and in that format. And I'm like, well, give me the Busta Rhymes records and not all the shit that he's featured on. So what I'm seeing now is not only is he a person is known for his features that are actual features, but on his actual albums now, he's damn near the feature on his own shit. Jay Short with the super chat says, Tinfoil Koofy. Older artists are hesitant to work with Busta due to his comments. However, they're trying to position him to be an elder statesman among younger fans to continue to sell this culture BS. I think Jay Short's talking about the fact that he's saying that Busta Rhymes has been caught saying that Black Americans don't have any culture and hip hop is a Jamaican thing and we got everything from Jamaica in those narratives. So I think that's what Jay Short's speaking towards.
Well, album wise, that's part of the problem with this album is that I think he tried too hard to stand his ground because this shit sounds too calypso, Afro,
Afro beats.
drip, reggae tone inspired. It's like he's all over the place,
Very
and it's like,
Caribbean stuff, yeah.
yeah, there's no hip hop beats on here. It's like, no, no, no. If I want a calypso and go salsa and with my girl, some of these records are fine. But if I want some rap shit, Mike, this ain't it. And even if it was some rap shit, he's not rapping at a high level on this album. And the Jay Short's comment, too, I don't think it's just his comments. I think it's his commentary when he is in the studio with other artists who, quite frankly, have been proven better album makers than him. But he's the guy in the room that always acts like he knows everything.
Mm.
And you can hear it on this album. It's like, oh no, he executive produced this album. He think he know too much. He don't. Because to be honest with you, it's like if The Comin' and ELE are your best albums, I mean, Mike, not to be funny, but it's like I can think of a lot of dudes that made 2 better albums than that. Like a lot.
Zuri with the
Like a
super
lot.
chat says, does Busta Rhymes...
Like
Go ahead.
like AZ, who we going to talk about in his interview.
Mm-hmm.
AZ's 2 best albums are better than Busta's 2 best albums.
Zuri with the super chat says, does Busta try too hard to be current? What's the balance in retaining your core while trying to appeal to a younger audience. Well, I think that's part of the problem, guys. I don't know if Busta really has as large of a core as he is as an artist. You know what I mean? I think he's a bigger artist than he is than his core demands. Because I feel like myself, few of my other friends, we would probably be a part of Busta Rhymes' core. But when your
Mm-hmm.
core is a small core and you're a big artist, you're never making music for your core. ELE is him making music for his core. And I don't want to take somebody back 25 years or anything like that, but Make It Clap and stuff like that, that's not his core.
Pastor Cavassier is not his core.
That's not his core. No.
Yeah. Neither is What's Gonna Be or the Mariah joint. That's not core records.
He's been adapting for a long time now. Like, and I think that people, it's just really, really evident now because the people that he's adapting with are so young. But he's been adapting since Genesis, to be honest. Break Your Neck is not core Busta Rhymes stuff. He's rapping fast, but that's not, you know what I mean? Big Bang is a cool album. It's a dope album, but that doesn't sound like Busta Rhymes. That sounds like Dr. Dre.
You want to know what's crazy? ELE 2 is a really dope album.
It is.
It's one of his better albums to me, and it's like you could have just went and did that again. That would have been totally fine. So it's like I don't understand. I mean, not to be funny, it's like this album also sounds to me like he's trying too hard to make bangers, and it's
Right.
like, dude, you're 50. Just give us some good music. Not to be funny.
I think
like,
it was the song Slide where he was talking at the beginning. He was talking about, you think that we left the club and, I still got bangers and this and that. And it's like, we don't really expect you to have bangers at this point.
First of all, no, you need to leave the club. You're 50. That's what I'm saying. It's like when I listen to this album, it's like, how about this? How are we going to get on Drake and Future for not acting and behaving their age on the mic when this guy is 15 years their senior pretty much, and he's not acting his age on the mic at all.
No. And you know what? The other thing with these collaborations with younger artists, I want to say this, I don't want to get in anybody's head. I'm no Skip Bayless where I know what somebody's thinking. But as a fan, I feel like these artists aren't really Busta Rhymes fans like that. You don't really hear them going hard for their feature. It sounds like they're dialing it in. Kodak sound like he dialed it in. You know what? I'll give Coi Leray credit. I feel like she tried. I
They're
feel
back,
like, huh?
but the beat's uninspired. Their back and forth was dope, but the beat is totally uninspired. It's a mail-in.
Yeah. It's a lot of dialing in on this album. And you know what? And since we're going to talk dialing in, let's bring in Timbaland, Swizz Beatz, and Pharrell. And so if their names are on here as the executive producers of this, and Pharrell had 2 beats on here I saw in the credits. Timbaland's name was on 2 beats, but it also had 2 other producers on each of those beats. Swizz name was on 2 tracks, one of them being the one that you mentioned where it was just the same loop as, Ain't No Nigga from Jay and Fox. And the other one was a Mama Say Mama Sa Mamaku Sa sample. So what did they actually do on here? What, like, for the names did they just slap their names on an album and just expect us to say, yo, this is dope? Because I don't really understand what Timbaland, Pharrell, and Swizz actually did on this album.
I mean, first of all, I don't think it's more of a question of did he slap their names on here. And producing 6 tracks between 3 producers on a 19-track album, that's not executive production, just so we're clear.
Right.
So it's just clear to me that the work behind the scenes wasn't done. This project lacks cohesion. That's what I'm saying. It's like, man, I get some calypso inspired track, and then I get a drill inspired track, and it's a down south inspired track. It's like, it does go to your point. It's just like, well, who is Busta Rhymes as an artist, Mike? When you called me this morning, like, who is Busta Rhymes as an artist? And this is the type of album, because of its lack of cohesion, that makes you ask, it's like, Well, what is he as an artist? Because I think you said something strong, and I think you need to tell the people, like what you told me this morning about how once the whole 5 years left thing left, he really didn't have a mantra, so to speak. So, can you speak to that more?
Yeah. It's funny, man. Me and my man B Town, he's a big Busta Rhymes fan too. We all went to high school together, and so the whole build up for Busta was the fact that he thought the world was gonna end in 2000. Like even on the coming on Everything Remains Raw, it's like there's only 5 years left. He was literally rapping like the world was gonna end, and when it didn't, he just assimilated. I don't know who Busta Rhymes is in the 2000s and beyond. Everything that he's done from the 2000s beyond, he lacks identity. And I think that this album is just another example of that where it's like he hasn't had an identity as an MC since the 90s. Now you remember when Busta used to get on the features to hit him high with the Space Jam soundtrack. We knew what we were gonna get from Busta. Like he was adding his flavor to it, and after Anarchy, I'll say, because Fire was still part of that run, he lost that edge, and when he lost that edge, he lost his identity as an MC. We hear it in spurts here and there with like "Turn Me Up Some," produced by Jay Dilla and stuff like that, which could possibly be an old song. We don't know. It sounds like an old song, but when you hear stuff like "Make It Clap" and and Pastor Cavassier and Arab Money. Like, it's just whatever's going on at the time. And this album is a poor shining example of such. This is what's going on right now. And what's going on right now in hip hop on a mainstream level, from a quality standpoint, isn't the best. And this is Busta Rhymes taking it on. I just hate that Timbaland, Pharrell, and Swiss were part of it this time because, again, I need to know exactly what they did in this. Like,
I mean, Mike. I mean, when you're saying that, it's like I keep on trying to express this to you. It's like the like for a single, all of those guys are great. For a few tracks on your album, all those guys are great. Those three guys that you're talking about, none of them have produced a hip hop classic by themselves. And
true.
so when it comes to making hip hop classic material on an album scale, not a single scale, on an album scale, those three guys have never been it, Mike. It's just is what it is. We got to call a spade a spade. It's like I'm going to keep on asking you, what's Swiss' best executive produced album that he did by himself? What about Pharrell without Chad? What
Right.
about Tim? Like, nah, Mike, it's always been this way. And to the adaptability point, well, part of adapting isn't just, um, catching up with the times and clinging to whatever's current. Mike, it's reinventing yourself. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like, that's what I mean about L. L wasn't just latching on to what was hip at the time.
exactly. He
L
reinvented himself.
he reinvented himself so that he was hip with the times. And if you really want to know the truth, the Busta Rhymes that we grew up on is the guy from the Scenario,
Mm-hmm.
Flavania remix, Woo Ha, Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See, Everything Remains Raw. That's Busta's identity.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was that it's not about his adaptability on record. It's the fact that he never reinvented himself. And so it sounds like an old guy trying to keep up with the young kids who, quite frankly, can't rap as well as him. Why would you try to keep up with somebody that can't rap like
It
you?
don't even sound like a good mesh. You know what I mean? Like with him trying to rap the way he's trying to rap on a song with Kodak, because we're in an era now where the MCs now or the artists in hip hop now, it's more about a vibe. And like you said, he's out here trying to rap on songs where they're just vibing, and it's just not a good mix. But again, I blame the producers for that. And when I say producers, I mean Timbaland, Swiss, and Pharrell. Let me get to some of
I
these
blame
super chats because they're piling up real quick. OG Winston with the super chat says, "Listen to the Busta album. Reminds me as to why Tip didn't accept the verses. Tip would have washed Busta. I agree. You know what I mean? We're gonna get to this Busta versus thing too. We'll get to that. Mad Max with the super chat says Busta album was whack, but Coop D Wade's top 20 Mike, I need you to set up the Twitter space because I gotta address Coop's list. Wade top 20. Is that a joke? We need to do that Twitter space. Coop was talking about that the other day. Let's get a
I
Twitter
told
space going, sir.
Oh, and I can't wait to get Mad Max on the Twitter space. I'm going to blast that ass out the water. First of all, Wade went to how many finals? 5, won MVP and one, is the third best shooting guard of all time behind Mike and Kobe. He's definitely better than James Harden, fraud ass.
He's better
I
than
don't know.
Clyde Drexler. I hate to admit it, but it's the truth.
Better than Drexler. He's better than my personal favorite, Dominique. He's better than Patrick Ewing.
Better than Allen Iverson. I hate to admit that too.
I prefer Iverson to Wade, but Wade's better than Iverson.
Yeah.
He's better than McGrady because he actually played hurt better.
I actually like McGrady more than D Wade, but you're right. D Wade's better than McGrady. Yeah.
McGrady in a vacuum for 3 or 4 seasons is better than Wade, but what the fuck did McGrady ever win? Just so we're clear.
There were some seasons where McGrady was better on paper than Kobe, but he's
correct.
Not better overall.
And how to out in the long run.
Jay Short with the super chat said, "To be fair, Mike, Timbaland and Pharrell are saving their best beats for Justin Timberlake's comeback album. Swiss is still working on putting together the next verses, quote unquote, for the culture." I see what you did there, Jay Short. Jay Short's in full swing today, and I'm loving it.
He is. Jay Short, pull up to the Twitter space, and Jay Short has something to say. Mad Max has nothing for me.
Nicodemus with the super chat says, Tim, Pharrell, and Swiss are rich producers. People shouldn't have expect that old sound from this album. But see, what I feel like they did as the privileged producers they are at this point, and that's no slander, that's just they've made it. They've gotten to a point in their careers where they're getting residual from production that they made 20, 25 years ago that doesn't exist for producers now. You went out for a second, Coop. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. That type of residual doesn't exist for producers anymore, but it feels like to me, instead of actually working on this Busta Rhymes album, they went and got beats from young guys and slapped their names on it. That's what it feels like to me. Patricio with the super chat says, Jay Short is 100% correct. Personally, I stopped listening to Busta's music ever since he said Black Americans have no culture. This album shows I'm not missing out on much. The album cover is whack also. Oh, God. Mad Max with the super chat says, Busta is a Jamaican K-Dot, a rambling bambler who's scatterbrained. More audible features, and Wade is not a top 25. He's not David Robinson. Set up the spaces. We will set that up.
I had David Robinson ahead of Wade. Can Mad Max read? You know, reading is fundamental. Do you remember the more you know shit? We need to get Mad Max like all the old school shit that helped us read. He needs Reading Rainbow. He needs The More You Know. Remember the little bill thing down and explain the amendments to it? Mad Max need all type of fundamental help. Reading is fundamental.
Dot with the super chat says, Hit Boy is showing us that there's levels to this. It's real. And you know what? I'm glad you said that, Dot. Shout out to Hit Boy. Shout out to him, man. And, he did an incredible interview with Coop. We got to get one of those going again. Oh, the GIP interview should be dropping tonight, too. That's rendering and all that. But anyway.
About time.
Hit Boy has shown us that one guy, and I know he had other producers that he was working with, can masterfully executive produce an album and actually do the legwork in producing the album as well, better than 3 of our most notable producers in hip-hop history. Now, what does that say about him all time?
That's what I keep saying is like...
and he did it 6 times, too.
If you need a hit, yeah, you can go to those guys before you go to hit. But Hit got hits. It makes better albums than all of those guys.
Listen,
like those guys collectively don't have 6 dope albums like Hit just did. You understand that, right?
If I'm a rapper, and we talking Pharrell, Timbaland, and Swiss, give me Hit Boy. Now, if we talking the Neptunes, if we talking about Chad and Pharrell, give me the Neptunes. Yeah, that's different. But if we're talking on some rap shit, if we're talking about I need a producer for my album, because, you and I used to rap, you know what I mean? If Coop and Mike D are putting together an EP, And we got Hit Boy here, Pharrell here, Timbaland here, Swiss here. I'm gonna say, yo, Coop, let's get Hit Boy to do this EP
Yeah.
for us.
Mike, they be doing real delicate shit now. No, your Jay-Z song was better. No, your Jay-Z song was better. Man, get the fuck out of here with
Nobody
that
wants to
shit.
hear that. And we're supposed to get verses from folks like this? Like everybody's
Yeah,
sitting here giving each other these compliments and all that. No, let's be competitive. Let's
shit is
make great
corny.
music. Your Jay-Z song was better. No, your Jay-Z song. All right,
No,
Jermaine
yours
Johnson.
is better.
I like your ad libs better. And don't get it twisted, guys. I'm a huge Pharrell and Timbaland fan, but I'm just keeping it real. Jermaine Johnson with the super
Like,
chat says,
you know, excited, Mike? Hold on.
well,
Andre 3000 said his flute album was produced by Timberland and Neptunes. I would be excited. Be like, yeah, get this nigga bass line, some drums.
me and Gibb talked about the flute album. Well, you
We
guys
go
are gonna love what he had to say about that.
the flute album made AZ's interview. Okay, think about that.
It did. MC Shan is out here talking about the flute album.
Damn shame.
Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says, it's a bad album, but I still love the fact that Busta dropped his second project in 3 years. I just want the Elder Statesman legends to stay active. Drop even if some albums are bad. Keep trying.
Who
This is
said
the
that?
thing, though. And I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. Huh?
No. If you can't bring the goods, stay your ass at home.
But see, this is my thing, though, Coop. If
I
you're
don't
going
want
to
to hear
drop a
that.
bad effort, if you're going to drop a bad effort, drop a bad effort solo. Don't have all of these moving parts. And
No,
one of the
my-
big things that I didn't even mention that I hate that goes on now, he used all of these proven samples, all of these recycled samples that have already worked before. That's another thing that I see the younger cats doing, and I get that because they weren't around for a lot of these records. So that's different for them. That's like us, you know what I'm saying, when we were sampling, well, not we, but the people we were listening to were sampling stuff from the 70s. That's different. Busta sampling shit that he was around for. You know what I mean? Like, you're reusing shit that you were around for. Like, what kind of cheat code is this? Like, if you're making bad albums, at least let it be a bad album on some experimental shit. But you're using all of these proven samples, these proven producers. You got Young Thug, you got Coi Leray, you got Kodak Black. Like, damn. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how you put the dream team together and lose every game.
That's what I mean. It's just like, no, if you're not gonna go to ball so hard university, take your ball and go home. Cause I want to remember Busta, like it's like the same thing I was saying with Belichick. It's like, no, it's time for him to go. I want to remember the guy that beat the Rams in 2 Super Bowls with being a genius defensive mind. I don't want to watch no 2-8 Bill Belichick team. Just like I don't want to listen to this Busta album like that. Why would I? I can go listen to ELE2 from literally a few years ago and be like, oh yeah, that's Busta.
Yeah. Zuri with the super chat says Busta's best album is his debut, The Becoming. He doesn't even have the best verses. That tells the tale right there.
Think about how innovative he used to be, Mike. His first single on the third verse, he goes, "Which motherfucker stole my flow?"
It's disheartening to hear somebody who was once so innovative being such an adapter in a bad way, you know what I mean? Or a follower, if you will. Because like you said, stuff like that, his hook on Victory, nobody else could pull that off. His
Correct.
hook on Wild for the Night, nobody could pull that off. And these are
What I'm
things that
saying-
we will hear in the mixes for the rest of our lives, just because of
Mike.
his innovation and his vocal talent.
Guess what? And they're still playing those songs in the club.
I mean, even if we want to talk about Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Could See, now that is a possible top 50 hip-hop song all time. Legit. Legit.
Legit.
Leroy Green with the super chat says, what up, fellas? But celebration, clubs, parties are part of rap culture, right? So how is it hard to understand what Busta, Pharrell, Tim, and Swiss do? They're not
Because-
doing it
hold on.
well.
Hold on, Mike. I used to say this, and I mean this. You ever go to the club when you was younger and see that old nigga in the club and be like, yo, what the fuck is he doing here?
I don't want to be that guy.
I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Guess who Busta is right now?
Yeah. I know.
So are clubs and parties and celebration a part of it? Yes. But guess what, Mike? The scenario be getting played in the club. Put your hands where my eyes can see be getting played in the club. What's it gonna be still getting played in the club? Like he got so many records. Look at me now with Chris Brown still spinning the club. He got so many classic stuff that's spinning in the club. It's like, what you need to go back to the club for? You're already a club legend.
You got to party with, I mean, and we still go, you know what I mean? You can still go out, but you got to party with your demographic. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like a 22-year-old, male or female, is not going to go out here and party with the OGs at a cigar bar or lounge or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's not your venue. And that's okay.
I be with my grown up female and male friends that are in their 40s when I go to a cigar bar, Mike. I don't be with my 25-year-old friends.
Yeah. Let them go do their thing over there.
Yeah,
and shout out to the young ones.
Go be ratchet. Uncle Coop will call you when he's done.
Exactly. Thumbs up in the chat, everybody. Mad Max with the super chat says Kawhi is better than Wade. We forgot Wade couldn't get out of the first round without Bron after Shaq. Wade was on a champion, only got championships because of the FA era.
Let's pause for a second. I'm gonna show my age and show that Mad Max was probably still like literally like in preschool. Wade won NBA playoff games as a rookie and took a team to the second round as a rookie.
Wade was the truth.
All-knowing motherfucker.
Wade was the truth.
He literally has a rookie hit a game-winning shot. His rookie season, he was in the playoffs, and they went to the second round. You literally don't know what you're talking about. And that was with Lamar Odom being the other best player on the team.
You know, when Shaq was gone, I saw Wade put that team on his back. Now, granted, they got bounced out of the first round, but they got bounced out by a Boston team that was stacked.
And he won the scoring title, I believe, that year.
Yeah, Wade's the truth. L Magic with the super chat says, I have to behold honesty. I have to behold honesty. I really enjoyed this album. Of course, it's definitely not an album of the year contender, but I had fun listening to it. Okay. I'm not mad at that, but I'm just saying, like, for somebody who many people were deeming as one of the greats in New York City, or just period, I don't think he is the best thing that's on this album. And if you like this album, you might like it for reasons that Busta Rhymes not even involved in. That's the problem I have with the album. The Moray record, I think it's dope. You know what I'm saying? But if Busta Rhymes never came in on that song, I wouldn't have never missed him. Because a lot of those songs, you could take Busta's part off, and those songs are the same. That's not how you make an album for yourself, though.
And it's not how a legend should want to be remembered.
Yeah. Nicodemus with the super chat says, anyone notice that Pharrell used the same 4-count intro? Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Common knowledge among those of us who know.
Boom, Jay.
Boom, boom,
yeah.
Boom. Drop the beat. We all know. We all know.
J.I. Design with the super chat says, what are y'all's thoughts on the Diddy situation? I don't know, man.
Actually, Mike, I hit my boy Wop up yesterday. Shout out to Wop. Wop used to be my plug to Bad Boy. He used to sit at the table with Puff down here in Atlanta when Bad Boy used to throw parties.
Okay.
And split me Curry's number. And so I'm trying to make the shit happen with Curry. Curry's actually in Florida right now. But I'm literally trying to get a situation where Curry will come up here and come talk to us. I told you, Curry been telling me shit since I was 25.
Okay.
He made a whole book about it. People tried to call him a hater. But now these chickens coming home to roost. And my man Curry is looking like a prophet out here. And I still got a link to the prophet. So I'm about to reach out and literally call him tomorrow to try to set it up to see when the next time that he's in the A. We need to pull Wop up in here, too. Wop is like a very astute businessman, and he's got a lot of stuff going for him, and he always has.
Okay.
Younger brother was my camera guy, and just his whole family is like my second family. And, yeah, I'm working on literally right now having Curry pull up so you can hear it from somebody who was actually around when the shit was down, who actually was present in some of the rooms. Like I told you, Curry's the one that put me onto the fact he was like, yo, Coop, there's the parties that dudes like you and I go to. And then there's the parties that Puff go to with where you got to drop your phone and you
No.
got to sign a waiver just to walk in the door and people being
No.
that shit real. It's not a
Exclusive.
game. Yeah,
Nicodemus with the super
exclusive
chat.
way.
Nicodemus with the
We
super chat says,
is
"Get back to the art, not the trends." Yeah, TSK Nas for sure, man. Let's see.
it's
CJ Kid with the super chat. Shout out to CJ Kid in the building. He says, "Wish for great physical and mental guys. Need thoughts on how that I am and I just got in here. It sounds like Busta is being accused of what Joe accused Drake of. Yeah,
we CJ, shout out to you. The mental and physical health is doing stellar over here today.
yes, sir.
I literally spoke to the fact CJ. First of all, CJ the kid is who Mad Max should aspire to be when he grows up. CJ, I was literally speaking to the fact that Drake in future, like 15 years, Buster's Jr., and they're getting excoriated for making records that are for the club. And I'm like, well, shit, them niggas still allowed in the club. They're not 40 yet.
What are we rating this album, or are we not rating this album yet?
I told you, Mike, I always want to keep it positive, and so if we have to give a bad review, I prefer not to put a rating on it because
Okay.
I don't want to like do any more damage than, quite frankly, my opinion already does. The rating for this album, if we were to give one, would not be high, and I don't want to treat our legends that way because I've already talked enough shit about how good this project is not, and I'd rather just leave it right there. I want to rate projects that are actually good.
What is the thing? And even when we give our critiques, it's coming from a fan's perspective. And, even with you guys, like, as watchers of the show and viewers of the show, we would love, for you guys to give your honest critiques so that we could be better. And that's the only reason why we actually break down these albums in the way we do it. I mean, it's not to denigrate any of the artists. I would love for Busta Rhymes to make better music. I would love for Busta to actually go out there with DJ Scratcher Tour. They find a zone that is their own unique zone and double down on it and do your thing. You know what I mean? But this trying to chase a hit and trying to adapt to people that you don't really have that level of chemistry with, it's not really good for anybody. The younger listeners not feeling it, and your older listeners not feeling it. So, and I would imagine that Busta's not feeling it like that either, if he's honest with himself.
Like, think about this. Us did Spicy. It's one record. He's on tour with Wu-Tang Clan.
Right.
It gotta make sense when you a legend. It's okay to do a one-off a couple times on your album with the younger generation so that they see and understand who you are. It's not okay to make a full-length project like that. It's not.
Critical Mass with the super chat says the Latino that throws the N-word around on Rap Roundtable was dissing Pac last week. For balance, why do y'all think Pac is loved so much in the South? I can give you a reason why I think Pac is so beloved in the South. It's because in the South, man, it's straight talk. You know what I'm saying? We don't do all of the... It's kind of like what Kwame Brown was saying, right? All of the big words and all of this, talking around things. It's just straight talk. And that's what Tupac gives you in his music. You don't have to sit here and figure out what he meant by this. Or you don't have to figure out this entendre here and there or where he's going with this. It is giving it to you raw and giving it to you straight. And if you think about most of the rappers in the South, they're direct hitters. Trick Daddy's a direct hitter. BG's a direct hitter. You know what I mean? Like Soulja Slim, Scarface.
Doobie.
Yeah.
MJG, 8 Ball. Pimp
Straight
C,
talk to you, man.
Bun B, Big Boy.
Yeah.
But Mike, everybody loves Pac in every region.
Yeah.
It's not a South.
I
That's
mean,
a North, West, South. Like, you could put a compass down in the middle of America. It's like, no. There's going to be some Tupac everywhere.
you know what? Somebody said Pac lived in Georgia for a while. It's funny. I never knew that as a person who lived here my whole life. Born and raised here. But Gip and I talked about that in the interview, or I like to kind of call it a conversation. Gip and I was really kind of having a conversation, but he talked about Pac living here in Atlanta and that experience, and not to give away too much, but yeah,
He had a house in Mike. Yeah,
yep.
he was like living on the east side.
You know how I
Gang, gang.
found out, Coop? I was looking at footage of when he was in court, on YouTube one time, and they asked him his residence, and he said Decatur, Georgia. I was like, word? That's how I found out.
Remember the run-in with the off-duty cops? That was down here.
Yeah,
That was in Atlanta.
that was at the AUC, I thought, right?
Correct. When
Yeah.
he lived here.